Yes. So what is data visualization? It is nothing but the graphical representation of your data. So if you have if you have some data set, maybe you have some data related to the COVID cases currently, I'm saying, maybe COVID cases, or your financial stocks, or maybe it can be your transactions, or some data related, health related data set. So just reading data, and daily around billions and trillions amount of data is generated. Sometimes even for personal use, you might be wanting data set that has around 1,000 rows, hundreds of columns. So I don't think anybody can just read that data and understand it. I don't think so. So the best way in which you can communicate your ideas is through graphical representation. So that is what data visualization does. It kind of communicates your data. It is like a mode of communication between the user and its client. Instead of just giving data random numbers or categorical values, or just text, what data visualization does is it presents the data in the form of a graphical representation. um, it pleases the eye of the client. Next, it is a systematic mapping between graphic marks as well as data values. So you have a lot of graphical data points, or different kind of charts. So what it does is it kind of brings a map, like a mapping between your data set as well as your graphical marks. So maybe it is a data set that has only values. So representing your values in the form of a chart. So that is what your data visualization does. Let me just give you like an example. There are situations where even you have seen newspapers. If you just read that text, nobody likes it. But nowadays, when you get charts or you get visualizations, or bar plots or area plots, when you get to see that, it becomes more easy to understand, and it pleases your eye. So what that is what actually data visualization is. Then our next and most important question is, why is data visualization used? I mean, why can't I just send my data set to you? You can just read it out. But no, what data visualization helps is it helps to communicate information clearly and efficiently. So what data visualization does is it becomes like uh, a mode of communication. So just like some language, maybe it's Tamil or English, it is just a way of communication. So there is another way of communication between the data and the client, or the user and the client. So that is what data visualization does. It communicates your data in the form of plots, visual representations, which are more clear to understand, or and more efficient compared to your normal data values. The next is it makes complex data more accessible, understandable, and usable. So what that means is, as I said, multiple amount of rows, columns. There's a lot of data that is generated daily. Uh, I mean, it's nearly impossible for anyone to understand just those values. So what data visualization does is it makes it more accessible, more understandable. So it's easy to understand, as well as analyze, as well as make models based on the visualizations that you have done. That is what data visualization does. Next, it is an effective visualization helps users analyze and reason about data and evidence. So once you have filtered out your data, removed the unnecessary data sets, you have made a data visualization charts, plots. But after that, why is data visualization used? It is actually used to analyze some data, or to make future predictions, make predictive models, machine learning models. So that is what data visualization does is, so it an effective visualization, so good visualization, it helps analyze and reason about the data and evidence. So it helps you reason out and analyze whatever plots that have been generated. And it is essential to analyze massive amounts of data, amounts of information, and make data driven decisions. So decision making, which is an important part when it comes into um, finally putting out your entire project. So you need to make decisions out of your models or your predictions that you have made. So that is when data visualization helps. Next, again, importance of data visualization, analyzing the data in a better way in the form of charts, plots, maps. So that is what it is. Next is faster decision making. So let me just give you a scenario. Um, like currently in the COVID crisis, you want to know which state is suffering the most. So if I just give you some data, random data, values, numbers, number of beds, very less vaccines, of course, I mean, number of cases, number of deaths, you won't be able to understand anything. I mean, it is not a good way of communication. So how you can communicate that to a person is through data visualization. So when maybe I do a bar chart, or maybe I do a pie chart to display the percentage of maybe cases in Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, or Karnataka, Uttar Pradesh. So instead of just reading those values, when I just see it in a pie chart, it is very easy to understand, as well as make out that, of course, okay, it's Maharashtra which is suffering the most, or it's Karnataka that is suffering the most. More vaccines are needed over there. So faster decision making, like it literally takes less than 2 minutes when you have it in a graph, that to understand the entire, instead of reading those 1,000 lines of data. So that is what data visualization helps in. Then making sense of complicated data, again the same thing, like um, this is like a complicated data, because you'll have thousands and thousands of rows. Even if it's, since the COVID-19 crisis is going on, then it will be a real-time database data set which is going to be updated each and every time, hourly basis, or minute by minute basis. So there are going to be a lot of complications. So understanding and bringing out the sense, or bringing out the main motive of what you want to communicate from from you to your user, that is what data visualization will help in. Next, again, it's the same point. What is the importance of data visualization? So it is interactive. It's fun, interesting to learn about it. To look at your pie charts or graphs. So that is what data visualization importance is. It is intuitive, personalized, and it is easy to share. So you can just instead of sending the entire data sets, making each and every person understand what actually your data set is, when you just share a graph, maybe when you in a company or something, when you're sharing your results in the form of graph, so it will be more easy for them to understand you, and you wouldn't even need to waste your time on explaining to them. Yeah, so this is one more important question. What makes a good visualization? Because, okay, you have understood how to make a chart, how to make visualizations, but is it actually good? I mean, is it, what do you say, effective? Is it actually understandable? That is a question. So there are four criteria for it. First is information, second is story, goal, and the fourth is visual form. So what information says is choosing. Now let me just explain it to you with an example. So as I said about the COVID-19 crisis, so you need to take the correct data set. So you need to choose a correct data set that is going to help you achieve your goal. So if I want to understand the number of if the number of vaccinations that are present, I can't take the number of beds that are present. I mean, that is of no use, right? So understand, like filtering out your data, processing your data, understanding your data before getting into visualizations or predictions, that is the first part. Once you're clear and ready with your data, then you should be ready with your story or concept, which actually means um, your plan, or what kind of plots do you want, the maths or the statistics behind it. So you should be clear with that. The third is the most important, that is your goal or function. So now in this case, my goal is to get the percentage of beds that are percentage of vaccines that are. Hello. Yeah. So our next, the third point, as I said, sorry, I had some connection issues. Yeah, so our goal, that is our function, that is to, in our case, it actually means um, bring like getting the percentage of cases that like sorry the percentage of vaccines that are present in a particular state. So um, our plots or whatever graphs that we draw, it should actually bring out that. So it should bring out the number of beds. My graph should not be vague. My graphs or plots charts, it should not be vague, and it should not hide my goal. The main thing about the good visualization is to bring out the goal and make your user to understand the goal easily. That is what is important with a good visualization. And fourth is visual form. Of course, you can't just have an ugly or a vague kind of visualization. It should be good, it should be structured, the appearance should be good. You should plan out how you want to place your chart, because for example, if you want to make a, what do you say, line chart or any bar graph, and you have an x and y axis, so and you want to put labels below it, so you can't just place it haphazardly. So what you should do is maybe put a rotation and make it look good, because that is what is going to please the eye. So that is it about data vision. Yeah. So this is just a meme which says that when you have data in the tabular form, no one is interested to read, or no one wants to even understand it. But when you have it in the form of plot or chart, it is more easy to understand, and you can show it to anyone. I mean, even a layman can understand that what your plot will say. Yeah, of course, this is not actually related to data visualization using Python, but this is an important point which many people, even before getting into the field of data science, or maybe don't know. So there are three categories or three jobs that come under data science. So that is data analyst, data engineer, and data scientist. So data analyst is the one who analyzes, different kinds of data sets, complex data sets, and makes analysis or machine learning models based on that. A data engineer is the one who prepares your data, filters it, processes it, builds a complete architecture of your data. And the data scientist is the person who makes predictive models or machine learning models, make future predictions based on the data set that you get. So all three jobs, of course, they revolve around your same data set, but what each and every job does with their data is different. So that is what separates all these three job types. So these are few. I just put the screen. These are few, uh, skills required for becoming either of the three. I just put it for a minute. And these are few of the responsibilities that a data analyst or a data engineer and the data scientist has to do. And the most interesting part in all the three things, be it the skills or the responsibilities, data visualization and mathematics or statistics is a common knowledge that all the three have to know. So this is a must. Data visualization as well as understanding your data, and statistics, mathematical modeling is used by all the three job types. So it is a common feature. Yes. So now coming to our main part, that is why Python for visualization. I mean, there are so many tools. There is Python, there is R, and there is Tableau, Power BI. But of course, why are we choosing Python, and why are we taking it for our session? So um, Python is nothing but it's a very popular general purpose programming language, and it is most widely used for data science. Like even if you take it percentage wise, about 70% about it's used for Python is used for data science. Uh, the main thing is because it provides packages for for everything that is involved in a data science. Because in data science you will have working with your data set. So for that there are few libraries. There's something called as pandas, then there is numpy, so that is required for your data set. Then when it comes to visualization for your data set, then there are we'll come to the libraries for visualization. There are multiple libraries that are used for visualization using Python. Then after that, building machine learning models or deep learning models, there's TensorFlow, then there's API like Keras, then there are multiple regression techniques, so or classifiers that are used in Python. So that is the main reason why Python is used, and it is easy to use. It's a user-friendly language, so that is why we're going for Python. And for a session, why Python is used for, like the libraries that we are going to use for our data visualization. Yeah, in Python, several comprehensive libraries are available for creating high quality, attractive, understandable, um, interactive, informative, statistical graph, be it 2D or animated 3D graphs. So these are few of the these are the main libraries that are generally used even in the industry. So it is Matplotlib, Plotly, Seaborn, ggplot, Altair, Bouquet, Pygal, and GeoPlotlib. Today we are going to focus mainly on Matplotlib, Plotly, and Seaborn, which is the most quite often used library for data visualization. So now I would like to hand over the session, the rest of the part, to Valyamai. Thank you.
Hi, I'll be sharing my screen.
Guys, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to use the chat box. We'll address your questions.
And to have a live demo, I'm sharing the copy of the same collab notebook. You can use it and run while I'm saying it. Okay. Now I guess you guys have understood about what is data visualization, where it is used and how it is used. So now in this demo, we'll be dividing it into two types. One will be to know how the columns are interrelated, and one more is to view the data, like how the data is being date times travel. So like based on the date, how the graph can be traversed and how the graph can be animated. The first plot will be running using Matplotlib and Seaborn, whereas then I will be using about Plotly. So let us go into the first part, that is visualization of diabetes. So this two pandas and NumPy are pre-processing library, data pre-processing library that are widely used in Python. And to make the link available, the data set available to everyone, I kept it in the GitHub and I have pasted the same link over there. So I'm gonna read the data using pd.readcsv as the function. And the data is being displayed. In this data, we can see there are 9 columns, that is pregnancies, glucose, blood pressure, skin thickness, insulin, BMI, diabetes degree function, and age and outcome. In this outcome, there are only two variables, that is 1 or 0. 0 means that a person does not have diabetes, whereas 1 indicates that a person has diabetes. So to know more insight about this function, let us go into data.info. This data.info will give you two information. One is how many non-null count are there in the respective column, and one more is data type of the specific column. So here we say that there is only 768 non-null values, and 768 are number of rows that we have in our column, number of rows. So that is what, there is no null value in it because this is already pre-processed data. There is no null value. If there is null value, we have to pre-process it and then use it. The null value can affect our visualization and prediction as well. So let us go deep into few of the functions that is used to say what are the fields are present and how can that what are the main description of the data type. So one among that is head of. This head of is the function that says about the top, how many top, from top how many columns you want. If you did not give anything, it displays just a 5 columns. And if you give something around 10, the first 10 columns, 10 rows will be displayed. And tail is to which displays from the bottom called rows. So without giving any parameter inside tail, it displays last 5. If you give some parameter, it displays that number of rows from that bottom. So then we have data type. This says whatever the data types of the particular column is. Then there are still few more functions called date.save. This is data frame dot save. Here our data frame is named as data, and the function that I'm using is save. Here it says 768 rows and 9 columns are present. Then the most important function of everything is date.describe of function. Why it is important is it describes about all the columns, about count, mean, standard deviation, minimum and 25% quartile, 50% quartile, and 75% quartile, and the maximum value. You may come to the doubt, like since we have every numerical value in this column, in this data frame, it gives us a number. What if there is some kind of strings or like object? Then it just displays not a number, that is NaN. So these are the things to know what is present in our data frame. If you have any doubts, you can put your questions in the chat, or like I'll go with the plot. Okay, I'll go with the plot. First plot we'll be encountering is count plot. You, as per the name suggests, the count plot counts the number of occurrence of the each individual values. Here
Molly,
I'm
we have a
gonna.
question in the chat box. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. What is not null values or something, like you don't have a value in it or something, it's an empty string that is present. Actually, NaN is not a number, actually it is some kind of strings or something like that.
No, like
I,
in the table, there was one whole column called not null. Like, what does that
oh,
mean?
that says like there is some kind of value present over there. You mean this, right? The
Yeah, the
not null
first one.
count.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, this is because like you can see there is no null value. There everything holds some or the other values in it. You can see this plus pressure has every value, the numerical value over it. There is no, if there is the null value, it will say like it will reduce it. Since 768 rows contain a value, there is no null value in it. There is no row without any value for that specific column.
Okay. Okay.
That is what null, and non-null is there is no column with null values.
All right. Okay. Thank
So next, I hope your doubt is clear, and I'll go with the count plot. In the count plot, as it says, like counts the number of occurrence of the specific string or something. Let us take the outcome. As I said before, this outcome can hold a value of 0 or the 1 that state a person has diabetes or does not have diabetes. So SSN is a Seaborn library that I have imported as SNS, and that has a function called count plot. So I have to give just a one field parameter, that is this is a compulsory parameter, that is date dot outcome, and I give that, and the result is displayed here. The second thing is histogram. Actually, what does it say is you give some X field, or you give some field or a column. It takes the value in the range, and it says how many numbers, that how many rows or how many count that falls under a specific range, and it plot accordingly. Suppose let's us take as example that data dot glucose. Let us take the glucose data, that is this thing, and let us plot us using histogram. So if I use plot us using his, you may find it. There is like you can find there is very less number of the people falls between 0 to 25 as the their glucose level, and there are many people who have been falling on 100 to 125 as their level. So this takes one more parameter called pins. If you did not give it, it takes 10 as the pins. pins. You may have what is pen. Let us give, this is edge color, EC is edge color, and if I give red over there, you may find that it takes a time. Like you can find there are 10 pin in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and there is no value over here. So that is also considered as the pin. So there are 10 pin in it. If you give something around some other pins as count very high or something, you will get as number of pins. If you have any doubts, you can feel free to like know what are the parameter it takes us this thing, and it helps you with help us popped out, and you can find whatever the parameter it takes. You can say it takes a pins. You will may have doubt as pins as well. I'll say what it takes, and you can find it. It's a number of rectangular that has been generated over there. You can say now there will be 15 pins over the range over here. That is what it means. And this can be done in the histoplot, can be done with other thing as well. That is called using matplotlib as well. Plot is that I imported matplotlib as PLD, and I have given hist as an meta name, and I have given date.glucose. That is data. In that I'm taking only glucose field and I'm displaying that. Suppose you want histogram for all the data as the single go, then you can give data.hist, and then this figure size to stay. I want the size of the particular graph is 10 centimeter height and 10 centimeter width, and I'm separating the edge color as blue, and the color inside every bar should be in this some light pale blue color, and then I'm showing it. So if you have still doubt about what does fig.shape, I'll run without that. You can find it gets worse then. So like nothing, no insight can be drawn from it. So that is what I have fixed up with shape of each graph, the length of each graph over there. So I hope the histo plot is clear. If you have any doubt, you can again post it in the chat. Okay, I'll move to the other plot called density plot. It is bit similar to histogram, whereas in the density histoplot, you see there is the discrete value. There is no smooth curve, but in density plot, you'll have a smoother version of the histogram. That is, there is the straight line that like a curve that goes ups and down instead of the bar graph. And then in date, how can this be done as date.plot? A kind will alone be transferred to the density over here. And why subplot is true is I'm taking, it's what a subplot is like, you take a single graph sheet and divide it into the 4 or 5 small graph pieces and then draw a graph in it, right? The same thing you are saying the Python to take a small graph, big graph and divide it into small graph in the layout of 3, 3. That is, divide 3 rows and 3 columns. Sharing is, there should not be any sharing of x-axis, and each size should be 10 centimeter width and 10 centimeter height. And then you are displaying it. This is what density plot is. So next comes the important play of correlation coefficient. In this correlation coefficient is what that determine how the columns are related with themselves, like other columns in the data frame. That is, there may be some column that may increase directly with other. Like whenever x increases, sometimes y may increase. Such a columns have a positive correlation, that is, have a positive value greater than 0. And whenever the correlation value is equal to 0 or something like that, then that is independent of that variable. Whenever it is negative value, then it decreases with respect to that. Example, you can take it as the skin thickness and the age. You can see there is the negative dependency of them. Whenever the age increases, skin thickness may decrease. And whenever skin thickness increases, age can't be decreased. Like whenever you are in small age, your skin thickness is very high or something. The same thing is like that, and this is full of numbers and you may not be understanding how it is. So there is something called heat map. This says with a color variation of the same thing. Whenever the light color, it means like they are the highest value, that is they are dependent on themselves, like they are highly dependent. And whenever there is the dark color, it means like they are least dependent or something. As since there is no so much of negative value, it like the axis that shows the color label is not that good over here. So like here you can see outcome and outcome, they both are the same variable. So whenever the outcome here increases, even here it will be increasing it, so that it got the highest value, that is 1. So similarly the same interpretation of this. If you have any doubt about correlation, you can ask it under about heat map. I hope correlation heat maps are a bit clear, and I'll go for the next thing called box plot. This is bit important thing of everything. That is the, because like it gives you
Waleed,
the.
we have a question in the chat.
Okay. Um, I guess it is correlation, right? I'll explain the correlation again. This correlation coefficient is something like, it says how the column of some data frame is dependent on the some other column in the same data frame. Like whether they increase with the increase in others, or they decrease with the increase in others, or they are like whatever other field does, there is no change in my particular field. That is what correlation coefficient says. It's a statistical term as well. So like there is a function in Python, that is CORA, that is scroll, that gives you the whatever correlation between that data is. So here you can find that skin thickness and the age has the negative correlation, that is minus 0.11. That means like whenever the age increases, the skin thickness decreases. Or else you can think like this: whenever we are in small age, our skin thickness is high. Whenever we grow along, our skin thickness reduces. This is what a correlation means. Whenever you plot that using heat map, the least color will have the higher correlation coefficient, like a higher higher coefficient, that is positive correlation, and a dark color will have the least coefficient. I hope it is clear. Okay. Then comes the box plot. It is actually summary of all data values present in the data frame. That is, you may be knowing about data.describe function over here. So the same thing is that done with box plot as well. It says you about all the things over here, but with a certain number of higher things, it shows you the outlier as well. That is the main benefit of the box plot. Here, how can we interpret the box plot as this is the median, or you can median, and this is the lower, that is 25% of quantile and 75, and this is the min and max value. This is all the outliers. That this outliers may affect our predictions, or it may affect our visualization as well. Most of time it is better to remove those when you go for analysis or the prediction part, but like we are not doing that now. And then like this can be done for the whole thing as well, the same as what you did for density plot, except kind equal to box over here, remaining everything is same, and you get something like this. This is also called as box and whiskers plot. That is the box under line above and below the box are called whiskers. And now you can see, like, you have to assume few values over here. You may not be knowing what value exactly this line points to, maybe 13 or 12.7. This is not good visualization. Like, the client or the person you are showing this graph have to assume something in person. So there are few types of libraries that is offered by Python to give interactive graphs. One among them is Plotly, and it is just a simple meme that while showing a Plotly graph to your client, they'll be so happy in interpretation as well. Interpreting non-Plotly graphs are a bit difficult. And similarly, like, you can analyze your Plotly after, like, graphs like Legend, like, there is no much of insight that you have to pay into that to analysis that is bit easier. So let us start into how the Plotly library works. Let us first install the Plotly library, that is exclamatory pip install Plotly. This is used to installation of the Plotly. The same thing as I'm importing the Plotly, and in that I'm importing plotly.express. This plotly.express will help us to draw bar graph and area graph, whereas this plotly.graph object, this will be helping us to create a graph like structure, that this is what gives us the graph sheet to draw all over the graph, and subplot to make the subplots over there. I make few of the color palettes, like colors that have a fixed color overall in the run. So, like, the for confirm, one more is for death and recovered, and one more is for active. And I use py.offline.init node mode as true, because, like, my graphs can be viewed even in without running that particular cell at a time. Whenever you open it freshly, you can view the graph. That is the benefit of this thing. So you all know, right, the COVID scenario is still running, and daily lots and tons of data has been created on COVID to make us analysis not fixed to particular day. I'm doing, like, whenever this notebook is done, it deletes this RM or F, removes the file and the directory, that is COVID-19 pre-processed data first, and then it clones the original data from GitHub using this link. This is actually John Kent University's data, and this has been pre-processed. Like, as this is not about pre-processing, I have already taken a pre-processed data set, and I'm working on the same thing. So, like, I'm reading this all those CSV file, 4 type of CSV file. One is DF, and one more is, I'm naming this as DF, and one more is country day-wise, and one more is country-wise, and one more is day-wise. In all this thing, I use this past date as date, because I'm gonna animate this with respect to date, and I'm gonna play everything with respect to this date field. And this past dates is equal, like, means, like, you are not saying that is the date, and you can't convert that into object format. That is what's said in this line. If you did not do this line, it will be coming under the object field. That is not so important for us. So that is what I'm changing it. And here I'm giving df.head, and just running once again. And there is some null value, like, already I have changed the null value over here. So all the null value has been replaced with a space over there. And here I have a country that is respects to whatever the country and what the data has been replicated. It is actually a year ago, that is 2021, like 22nd of Jan 2020. So the confirmed case, active case, and death case of Afghanistan is 0 over there. But when the date time grows, it also grows. So if you give tail over there, you may be bit about what is actually over there. You may see like there are huge number of data will be. I do not know why it's came negative values like. Okay, let us keep that aside and then we'll go with df like that. I'm changing it and I'm displaying the head of that. So then let us come into the major function that is called like group by function, which is used in most of the plotly graphs to group it and then to visible it. So for example, let's take like this key and data, that is a is repeated around 3 times with a value 0, 5 and 10. This group by function will first split them and make that all the a's together, b's together and c's together, and then as per the command I give sum, then it will add them, that is 0 plus 5 plus 10, that will be displayed as 15, 5, 10 and 15 that will be displayed as 30, and the other c value will be displayed as the sum, that is 45. Same thing is done with confirm, that it take df as the column and use group by, and on based on the key that uses is date, and then it sums the column, that is here it's a data and here it is confirmed cases, that is confirmed count, and it resets the index. And so here is the a confirmed head, like what are the first 5 columns of confirmed is displayed. Same as done with recovery and deaths. So as I said, like Go, like a graph object is used to create a graphical graph, right? So this is what. So let us go to it. GF equal to go dot figure, that is it creates the graph, and how will you be displaying it to the others is fig dot show render equal to collab. Since I'm running it into collab, I'm saying render equal to collab. If you're not running into in a collab, if you're running into Jupyter Notebook, then you do not want this line actually, that is bit like you can without this line alone it will be working on, but in collab you want this line to be present, this parameter should be there for sure. So then now our graph is ready, then we have to add our points and then make it present neat, right? So like now how to add a graph, like how to add a points in it, then add trace, that is where like that is also a function in plotly that takes as trace whatever like whatever you are wanted to, like here I give go scatter as the trace, and then I give x's as a confirmed date, that is in a confirmed data frame I'm giving date as the x-axis, and in white a confirmed in the confirmed data frame I'm giving confirmed as the y-axis. This confirmed will take the count of the confirmed, that you can see, that is 555 557 655 like that, and then the mode will be line plus marker and name of that will be confirmed, another will be like whatever the color I wanted to give. So if you see it, you may ask the mode you have given line plus marker, but I can see only the line. Since the data is huge up to 2021, nearly a 1 years of data has been given over here. If you view it like this, like it has been interactive, you can see like whatever the values over there and you can hover over it, you'll be able to see. And once you're done, you have to rescale it. There will be auto scale option over there and you can rescale it as well. So you have added just one graph to your graph sheet. Suppose there are 2 to 3 lines that you have to add it. Same thing here, I have used to confirm data frame, and here I'll be using recover data frame under recovered as an y field, and you can see it whenever you can see like 3 things have been added and you can see whatever it is. And the render equal to collab has been given. This is the first graph that we do in Plotly. If you have any doubt, you can post it. Okay, I'll be going with other graphs. First, let us go with other function like group by. There is some other function called melt. This is actually used to convert a wider data frame into the taller data frame. That is, you can see like in the using df.groupby, I have done this stuff. But now I'll be doing like all this deaths, recover, and active as one column. That is as the case, and I will display their count respectively. So how does this work is pandas melt actually I said before, right, it converts the wider to the taller data. That is, you can find like date and bill will be displayed. That is 6/8/6/2020, and your respective bill of the person will be displayed as one row, and the other day will be displayed as other row, and if there is one more day also, that is also displayed as the other row. There is no like the date will be separate for each things. And I do this to make so that I can group it by like I can give the color distinct by using the case in the area plot. That is why I'm doing this. So like next thing I'm gonna do is area plot. That is px dot area. It's a plotly express function. And this what data frame I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna use temp as the data frame. And what is my x-axis is date and y-axis is count. The color is based on cases. Height of the graph is 600 and title is case over time. And a color distinct sequence. This takes a distinct sequence, that is separate color for separate cases. I give it one as act like in the color palette. I have defined all this color over there and I'm rendering it over there in the collab, and this is how the graph looks. Actually, each and every time the person who views it have to go and then check for a particular thing and then hover over it to find a particular case, but this is not actually so good in visualization. So just a small step that can make this graph still better is I'm gonna add that x-axis range slider visible equal to true. This actually adds something under bottom like this so that you can slide it over x-axis. Now you can see it like you have slided it. So this is how it works. Just a small line that makes you help more benefit. This is our second plot in Plotly, and the third thing that we are gonna work on is country day-wise. This country day-wise, as name suggests, is this country and the day, like on the particular day, how many cases have been admitted or how many cases has been read, how many dates are confirmed. All those will be given over there. And what is chloroplot? Okay, the chloroplot is something a colored map, the colored geographical map to be specific. That is, color is based on some specific field. The first thing they are drawn is for a population. Whenever the population is higher, the color will be dark. This color combination can be changed by us using some other, like whatever a color you feel you can give. Like first it was being given as dark color has the higher value, and later it has been changed. So this chloroplot takes country wise that data frame. That is, you can run this to know what are the things take. This date, it takes a data frame. This latitude longitude could be given when this location mode is not being given. Any one can be given. This location mode actually has 3 parameters. Like it can take 3 values. One is ISA and one more is American something, and third one is country name. What this has do is in the location, whatever the value, this is my data frames country, the country which presents over here. So it map with the location mode, that is the country mode, which is inbuilt in the chloroplot. And I just say that you have to map with that. And the color what I'm giving is it should be based on the confirmed case, the number of confirmed case per thing, this field. And whenever I hover over the particular country, I should be displayed with my country name. And the animation frame should be based on day-wise date. That is, here my animation should run based on the date. And what should be the format of my date is 2020, that is year, month, and then the date. And the title that should be displayed is case over time, and the color sequence that I use is px.color. You have some doubt what are the colors it should be taken, you can view it over here. You have to import that dot color, and then if you do it, you will be able to get that. Let us run this once again and check it how it works. I'll rescale it. First, you can see that dark color indicate that is 0, and the light color that indicate that is around 34,000 right now at 2027. 7th of Feb, now 22nd of Feb. It runs like that. Over that time it runs, and you go at it over here. So second is again the subplot. To make it clear, I have explained a few things of subplot over here. If you see that make underscore slub is the function of subplot over there, and then what it does rows 2 and columns 2, that it divides a graph into 2 rows and 2 columns, and then the subplot title will be made as like 1. This is the title that it is gonna display over here, and this is where it gonna render it out. And this is how the graph is being visible. Like I does not have any graph, it's just a graph sheet that is divided into 4. And let us get further into this. So let us see what is in the day wise. And this is how the day wise is looked on. Now I'll be playing with date and confirm the field. So I'll be making the bar graph, that is px.bar will be making you the bar graph. bx.bar will be making you the bar graph. And this device is the date frame that I'm gonna use, and x is the date, that is the field over there, and y is the field of this field. And then the color sequence I'm gonna give us act that has been already defined previously, and I will be showing you how the graph looks. You can see it clearly over here, but it looks like a smooth curve, but it does not a smooth curve. You can see it's actually a bar chart actually. Since there is huge number of data, it has been like that. You can see it like how many confirmed case on the 4th Feb and everything else. And then like if you go with 2 more plots, like one more, I do the same thing with death. That's the number of deaths over there. And then I make a subplot that is row is 1 and column is 2. Then I'm saying I'm saying don't say the x-axis. Let x-axis saying I kept it as false. And the horizontal spacing between each subplot is 0.1. And then the subplot title that I am giving is confirmed cases and death cases. If you want, you can give any other thing. The same thing is add trace. I'm adding it into the graph sheets and I'm rendering it. This is row 1 and column 1, that is this. Row 1 and column 2, that is this thing. So if you let us go into the other graph. That is, let us see what is country wise first of all. So this is how the country wise is being showed, and this is being alphabetical order. But I wanted to, I'll be sorting it. I'll show you after sorting how that it looks. I'm sorting it based on the confirmed cases. And if you see, like, it has been based on like ascending order sorting has been done, whereas 1 3 and the last value is so huge. So on the thing, the final plot that I have to make is to say what are the topmost 5 countries that has been affected, recorded more confirmed cases, or topmost 5 country which has higher death rate, or topmost 5 country which has higher recovery rate, all those. So I have sorted based on confirm, and to display what are the top 5, like I give top 5, and I'm running dot tail dot top. It gives me just the last 5 column that is in the thing. If you feel it, these will be having the highest value now. So that is why I'm giving the tail as 5. So second thing that will be is like this thing has been done. Okay, then I'm gonna plot this actually as a bar graph, and I'm giving our orientation is horizontal. Now we have done vertical thing like this, but now our graph will be horizontal. Let us see it how it is actually. You can see it is vertical, and then you can see the highest is US and second is India. The same thing you can do it for deaths, active and recover, the same thing, except this value changes and text over here changes and this changes, x-axis changes. Other than that, everything is same. And then I'm saying it divide a plot into the graph into 4, 2 rows and 2 columns. Horizontal facing should be 0.14, that is between 2 horizontal, like between these two graphs. This 0.14 and this 0. And then the height should be 3000. You can reduce this height or you can increase this. That is the height of the graph. To it. That's it for this. If you have any doubts, you can ask us.